Let's talk today about food prices and what you can do and what the government will do if you do this for yourself. We all know food prices are going up. They're set to double again possibly this fall. Canned vegetables and things like that are going up. Canned soups are going to double in price. Meat prices is going up. Everything's going up, right? We recommend that you garden, that you grow as much food as you can, right, to supplement from having to buy from the store. But here's the issue. Let's say 50% of Americans start growing their own food. They don't have to go to the grocery store for anything, right? They're able to do everything where they live. They're able to, cows, chickens, pigs, vegetables, everything. What would the government do then? Well, then they're going to tax you for that garden. Or they're going to make it illegal for you to have a garden in your area or a small farm or whatever a hobby farm, whatever you want to call it, right? They're always going to get their money. If you stop buying from the big stores, right? You stop going to the grocery stores and you grow your own food, you harvest your own food, your own animals and everything. The government is going to figure out a way to tax you for that. Plain and simple. They're going to redesignate it as, now that you're a farmer, you're going to have different taxes. Or more than likely, most townships and areas, I'm not talking about just the federal government. We're talking about city, county, and state too. They would just outlaw it probably where you could not have a garden, you could not raise any animals on your property, right? Some places are already like that. You can't have stuff like that. If 50% of Americans just said, we're done with this, we're not paying these high prices no more, we're going to grow our own stuff, we would see stuff like that, like hunting and fishing. You would see the prices of the license to do that to double or triple or quadruple, right? Or they start limiting how much you could actually hunt. They don't want you independent of the system, plain and simple. They're going to keep raising these prices, like we talked about couple months ago, almost a year ago, about fuel prices, right? I told you, I asked a bunch of people, this is when it was right at $5 in my area, and that's high for my area. We was used to $1.50 to $2 a gallon gas. I know other places it was much higher, and it's always much higher. I asked them, how much is the cutoff? When are you going to stop buying gas? And they said, well, I got to have it. I'm not going to walk. The government knows this. That's why, gas prices here are around $3.30. Roughly, that's just an average in my area right now per gallon. People used to complain when it was $3.30, and the government was like, okay, they'll pay this right here and they won't complain as much. That's why we're never going to see these prices come back down. We'll see grocery prices skyrocket, right, and then they'll come back down to the new normal. Let's just use a can of soup. Can of soup before the pandemic, 75 cents to $1.50, right? Depending on what brand you buy. We're talking the small can, not the big cans, not Progresso big cans or anything like that. Pandemic comes along, that can of soup is now $1.50, $2 or more, right? They'll raise that price up again. They'll keep raising it until they figure out how much is too much where people refuse to buy it, right? And then they'll bring it down a little bit to calm everybody down, but yet you don't realize you're paying 3-4 times what you were 2 years ago, right? And it's going to continue to be like that. I'm telling you right now, if everybody grew their own food, the government, and I'm talking not just federal, I'm talking local government, would find a way to tax you on that food you were growing on your property or just straight outlaw it. Because your city and all them, they charge taxes when you go buy groceries, right? There's city taxes, county taxes, state taxes. We all know about taxes, right? They're always going to get their cut. Or another thing they could do is raise your property tax, right? Put you in a different bracket. Oh, you're doing this now. A lot of people are seeing that. We know people personally that their property has made them worth $150,000, $250,000 more dollars, right? Because the tax assessor comes around and says, well, it's worth more now. And you pay more taxes on that, right? It's about money. Like I tell you, money makes the world go around. We all know that. It's to the point now where people don't stand up and start doing something as far as saying, we're not going to buy this stuff at these prices. We're just going to keep seeing them go up. But the number one answer you get, go ask somebody in your area, a friend or anything, how much per gallon of gas is too much that you're not going to buy it no more. Most people will give you the same answer, probably. Got to have it, not going to walk. All right, how much is too much for prices of groceries before you stop buying it and try to grow it yourself? A lot of people are going to say, well, I'll buy what I can buy, and then that's just it, and do without what I can't buy, right? They know this, and that's why these prices keep going up. You know, we said for years, before I even started this YouTube channel, if they ever raise minimum wage, at that time it was $10 now everybody was wanting, or to 15, right? Prices will go up because these companies, they have a set profit margin of what they want to make a year, right? They're not going to cut into that profit margin to pay their employees more. They're going to raise the price of goods to cover the cost of raising the employees' pay, meanwhile making more profit also and upping their bottom line. That's the way it works. You know, is it right? I don't know. Several years ago here in my area, we were known as the sock capital of the world. And when the NAFTA agreement come in, that just ruined that. All our sock mills just left, right? Well, when I was a junior in high school, I was working at a local sock mill. And I got hired in July, and my first paycheck was for more than what I was supposed to get paid an hour. And they told me, well, minimum wage went up, I think like 50 cents then, maybe, or 25 cents. It went up to $7.25 or $7.50. I don't even remember. But I remember it went up, and my mom, she worked production at the same place. She folded socks. Of course, she made more than production daily, but here was the catch. If the production, right, they're getting paid more minimum wage per production. But guess what they did? They made you do more work to get the higher minimum wage. Am I making sense here? You weren't getting paid the same as before. Let's say you had to do 100 pairs an hour. That's just a rough estimate. That's nowhere near right. But let's just say you had to do 100 pairs an hour to make minimum wage. Anything over 100 pairs, you made more money. Well, when the minimum wage went up, they moved that up to now you got to do 150 to 175 pairs an hour, right, to get minimum wage. It wasn't they're raising the pay and what you got to do stayed the same. It's that way everywhere. They're going to raise, if they're having to pay you more, they're going to raise what you have to do, and they're going to raise. See, it's crazy. It upsets me to think about it. And then a few years after that, NAFTA agreement come in, and all the mills shut down, and now they're sitting here empty, right? Getting a little off subject here, but all they're bringing in now, they brought in a couple companies around here. And of course, they was claiming they was going to hire 3,000 people and this and that, or 1,500. Of course, they brought people in from outside the area and then just filled a couple hundred jobs, right? One of them is a children's place. We've got a Ferguson distribution plant and things like that. But guys, this isn't going to get any better. It's not going to just magically turn around no matter what. We're in the decline. We're into where middle class is now the working poor. Get the middle class thought out of your head. You're either rich or you're working poor. That's the way it is now in America. Plain and simple. Nobody wants to say it. Everybody wants to think there's still a middle class. There's not. There's not. There's rich and working poor. That's it. You know, that's it. That's how it is now. Middle class is gone. Guys, I don't see it getting any better. Like I said, we recommend you gardening and everything, but I guarantee you if everybody switched over, 50% of the citizens switched over to growing their own food and stuff, that they would find some way to make it impossible for you to do it, or start raising your taxes, because they're always going to get theirs, right? They're always going to get theirs, and people just keep sitting there and taking it. So what's your thoughts on this? Let me know. Do you think I'm right about, do you believe if everybody switched over to growing their own stuff that the government would figure out a way to make it either impossible for you to do it, or make it a way that they're still going to get their money? And I'm not talking about just federal government. I'm talking about all the way up from your city up, right? Let me know your thoughts on this. Keep your head on a swivel. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. Protect yourself and your family at all times. At that moment, you're the only person who can do it. Stay safe and keep prepping.